Video 15, Sidutru continued. What are the meaning of symbols that are used? Well, first of all, if you don't actually have, again, a legitimate foundation, there's no point in using any. And again, Sidutru, with the philosophical aspect of it, is really the true basis for it. One of the questions is about the swastikas. Are they used? What do they actually mean? The truth of the matter is, a swastika turning one way represents the changing of the four seasons, and a swastika turning the opposite way represents the changing of the hours of light day. From dawn to noon to dusk to night. Variations of the same. It's the same thing. It's freaking out over it. You're being an idiot. And it doesn't matter if it's slightly tilted or not. That's really irrelevant. That's bullshit. And people say, well, no. They're facing two different ways. One means good, one means evil. And if it's tilted slightly, that means racism. And for fuck's sake, people, they're bent because it represents motion. That's all. No different than a cartoon image where you put a couple of quick little flash lines to indicate that they are running when you know it's flat paper and nothing's actually moving. It's just an illusion. That's really it. And wearing a necklace with one going one way, one going the other, and then the what's called the earth wheel, or some people try to say sun wheel, it's fine, may or may not be the cross, single cross in the circle. It might actually have all 8 spokes. And that's fine. And it doesn't mean balance or neutrality between the two flows. It just means the total 8 directions of north, northeast, east, southeast, south, southwest, west, and northwest. And then in that case simply represents the totality of life. And the 2 different directions simply represent the natural flow, that though they seem opposite, they're actually still moving in the same direction forward. And that's what life is about. It evolves, it moves forward, but it's cyclical. And as it recycles, it still changes, and it's never quite the same as it was before. And that in itself is a reminder that in the center is still always the same core foundation that seems to never move, even as things are rotating around. Now, they can also be applied in another concept where one represents the spiritual aspect and the other one represents an aspect of consciousness. And this is something people tend to embellish because they don't understand that, and they put all these expanded, extra mystical exaggerations because they really don't know what they're talking about. And they're trying to kind of struggle to get around that they're idiots and they don't know what they're saying. Using the seasonal one, it can represent the transition between birth, growth, which would be basically youth, adulthood, or maturity, which very few ever make it to that point, and then old age, which leads to passing on and releasing of the life. The other one represents evolution both in spiritual and physical, and it basically, to make it simple, represents that from energy, pure energy, is created pure matter. Energy flowing through the pure matter goes into the third phase of living matter, biological life. and that's when the soul is created. And then the physical body dies and releases that living energy, the soul, the ghost of the person, shaped through the flesh, that then reunites with pure energy, but the self isn't lost, and it doesn't take over the energy either, but rather it's sustained eternally. And it can remain in that state for an indefinite period of our mortal linear time, and basically be eternal because it is by nature indestructible. Or it has the potential at the right time to reincarnate and go through the same process to the material formation into the biological, back up again. And it's a continuous cycle. And it basically gives the fundamental concept that not so much recycling as much as cycling. Alright? That's what people don't understand. It's not recycling the souls. And there's no moving backwards in this. Alright? It's evolution. And the eternal needs the changing, or basically the timeless needs the linear time, so that it would otherwise remain in an eternal state at that one point of development. In order for it to expand, it has to wait until there's a suitable form that has room in it, basically, so that soul can re-enter through the cycles, gain more information. And the soul always remembers, but each incarnation does not necessarily remember because of the trauma of birth and all that, for both the mom and the child. So it's literally a point of forgetting that some will actually remember legitimate, and there's not many of them that are legit that claim it, but they all want to say that somebody famous when they were a famous nobody. But they, the whole thing is that wait for a higher form, or relatively higher form. So the soul is evolving to nature. And sometimes shit happens and the soul lodges into the wrong body. Alright? It's not something that's on purpose. Even that is dynamic. And accidents happen. Does it mean that every single person is a reincarnation from a previous life? No. There's always new souls created, because it's the same energy. As life is expanding, as the universe is expanding, you might have a lot of forms go into extinction, or transition into other forms to fill in the gaps, whatever. But the ultimate thing is that evolution in the physical world contributes to evolution for the spiritual realm. Without the physical, the spiritual becomes stagnant. And there's a certain point where ghosts need to move on, either into a new incarnation here or somewhere else in the universe we don't know about. That's the alien life scenario. But does that mean that they're coming back as a bunch of these little gray guys? No, that's a lot of occult nonsense that's mixed in with conspiracy hypotheses and pure and simple fanaticism. And a lot of psychobabble and a lot of nonsense. So, to be honest with you, in Sidutru, we accept the reality that there are souls in other worlds. Just like, not just like Earth, but they have their own evolution. And they're way out there. And they're probably at the same stage of technological development we are, and their signals just haven't gotten up where we are yet. Or it's a simple fact that they're using a different type of technology that we cannot read, and they cannot read us. But we're essentially at the same level, just different forms of it. But that would be all speculative. And we can't claim that with certainty until we know for certainty. In that respect, it's highly likely. So that's not unscientific, and it's not outside of the range of spirituality, but it is outside the range of both science and spirituality to claim it's a certainty, and then put in all these fantasy fucking film crap and trying to use that to pass off a false ideology, especially targeted at kids, and that's not cool. But does everybody wear that? No. And one of the things on that one is that is usually something that your community makes for you if they feel that you've earned that by understanding these spiritual matters. So the people around you are the ones who make it. So I myself don't wear one because one hasn't been made for me. And it's not for lack of finding that I know what I know, and it's not because of fear of what all these idiot bigots want to try and make it into something it's not want to say. It's simply the fact that there's just not enough of us around to have a really big culture thing, and most of us are still sorting things out, and nobody is playing, everybody's, certain ones are more superior than everybody else. Besides, if people already know who I am, there's no reason for me to wear a bunch of gaudy, ugly whatevers, or the idiots that claim they're witches and they've got makeup that looks like a clown, or a bad knockoff of Mimi from the Drew Carey show or something. Basically look like the reject from a circus that failed. But that's one thing. But that would be something that would be a recognition by the community being given to me as a sign of appreciation and recognizing my understanding, and therefore would be a symbol of achievement as well as having the meaning there. The evolution of consciousness can also be included there with the 8 full points. Basically the unconscious, the instinctive, the subconscious, the conscious, the awareness, self-awareness, what's the others? Transpersonal awareness, aware of other people around you. Higher conscious awareness, which is sensitivity to the spiritual, and then hyper-consciousness, which is where you finally transition from this state of being into the afterlife. And all the channels of awareness of the spiritual realm is what takes over dominance, and less interest in this reality tends to be the result. And it's also the fact, too, that in our spirituality we accept that the spiritual realm is as vast, if not more vast, than the universe that we know about and don't know about. It's all-encompassing. So we're pretty certain that if there is life on other worlds, at any level of cognitive intelligence, sentient beings, they're going to have spirituality. And people who want to fantasize that they couldn't possibly, if they're more advanced, are really being just plain moronic. It's not how it is. Anyway, I'm Talisman Skulls. On to the next video.